have a question that can kind of see, it'll go for both of you.
Cool.
But okay, so Batman slash the Joker are both really iconic characters, and so how did you approach acting as Batman or the Joker compared to how you've acted in your other roles?
I think you have to approach each role individually as its own thing. And even with this, when you've got a huge lineage, I mean, especially with the Joker, it's been Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, Mark Hamill. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're focused on the character, and that you're not emulating or impersonating anybody. And if some of those things that you've seen from versions of those characters come through naturally, then that's a win. And that was the focus for me, is just doing the Joker.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's ideal answer for me as well. You're focusing on the character more than anything, and it's such a collaborative effort, working with the director and the production staff, and even other actors in the process to try to figure out what version of this character we're going to do. But you're not going so far as a departure that it's like, well, guess what? I'm going to walk in and do this now.
Right,
This is
right.
my choice as an actor. It doesn't work that way. So really, it was working closely with the writing staff and the director to kind of say, what are we doing here? And you approach, I mean, almost every single job the same way. It's, you know, I think you don't walk in and just say, this is what I'm doing. It's not on camera.
Yeah.
Or it's, you know, which I guess they get to do that a little bit more.
From a narrative perspective, you're following up, you're doing Origin based on two very large titles that Mark and Kevin did. Did you have to explore any of that story to sort of get this role, or is it?
Have to is kind of is the wrong word. Get into it. I mean, both of us are huge fans and have played, you know, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. I'm a huge comic book nerd too, so it was really cool when I saw when Eric would write something. I'm like, I know where you're pulling that from, which is fun. And I think it also helps us to have a little bit of a shorthand with the story, with the mythology, and to be able to recognize when they're doing something unique and something creative for this property, because you always want to do something that's special within your own, you know, IP. That helped tremendously. But from a narrative standpoint, we've got such a huge, vast well to pull from that we definitely want to make sure that we're pointing to the future Arkham games from the past, you know, Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, but still maintaining our own integrity as our own property.
I've been answering that you know, you're doing the heavy lifting in this, because that character can go so many different directions as far as the Joker's concerned, and there's such a finesse that needs to be there in order to have it be funny, creepy, evil, dark, disconnected, all those things, and to do that believably is no small feat, and what he's done with this character is incredible. I come in, Batman sort of lives here by comparison. It's like he's here, and there's not many things you can do with it before you start going, that's not Batman. So for me, I could, I was lucky enough just maybe for a voice print situation with going with a younger version, and like he says, you know, we've got this horizon that we knew we had to kind of get to, so that was always there, but it wasn't as if, you know.
But I have to say this, and not to step on anybody else's question or anything, but there's a difference between painting with broad strokes and micro movements, and I think that was a huge challenge for you as well, because you want both of us, you see the characters trying to suss themselves out and their relationship together too. So both of us had our own challenges, because while Joker can swing from this to, you know, just manic, Batman has to be like laser perfection. So that was a huge challenge for him too, because maybe the tendency would be to go broad. You can't.
Yeah, and I think it's not lost on us the you choose to fill in the role, but also it was sort of a celebratory and kind of a, yeah, we got this role. Oh man, like, no way, I booked it. I booked it. Oh man, it was one of those things. Both of us were calling each other up, going, this could go a lot of ways. This could go a lot
even
of
like
ways.
60 to 70% of the way through doing the entire game, we were waiting every session to go, so we need to talk. We've got you here. We've got some red shirt characters we're going to fill up.
Exactly.
But you're never doing this role ever.
Yeah. Roger, that was great. Could you come on out of the booth and bring your things? That was great. Just bring your stuff.
Here's a box.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whoa.
And we don't validate for parking.
Just leave.
Yes.
What does banned from the lot mean?
Is banned from the lot with one N or two?
Who else?
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
We got it. So this one is more to Roger. So fans were pretty vocal when it was announced that Kevin Conroy would be voicing Batman.
Yep.
How did that factor into the way you approached? It was a little kind of, we touched on this a little bit. Did that affect the way you approached your character?
Well, thankfully, we had already kind of like laid down most of the,
Right.
the framework for the character at that point, so it's kind of like I couldn't go back and say, well, now that they know and they're irritated, we knew going into it. I mean, and I get it. I totally understand. I took over another character that was voiced by other actors previously, by a very passionate fan base, and the internet being the the endless bastion of positivity that it is, I was expecting, I was expecting the blowback, and I knew it would be there. But then, it's not as if I go in there going, I can't wait to just destroy this character and bury it and do so poorly in this. No, all you want to do is succeed at all times and pay homage to the iconic nature of the character.
Right.
As far as people having to get used to certain things and things changing, I mean, that's the way it goes. I can't tell you how many times, growing up and playing video games and watching different cartoons and seeing different characters and voices change, that kind of thing. As long as the character's being portrayed well.
Right.
And I think that was always the focus. So, while it's not lost on me, again, those shoes to fill with what Kevin has portrayed and what people have come to know. The nice element here is that being a prequel, we're able to kind of explore things from a different perspective while still having that horizon, as you say, to still strive for.
Right.
So hopefully that comes through. And that was the intended effort.
Right.
Oh, do we? What? Man, I love these. This is sitting off.
I know, these are awesome.
I have a whole nother table for you.
30 seconds.
One question. Are we going to see Batman and the Joker meeting each other for the first time?
Well, I don't know.
Can
We obviously we've seen them meet in the trailer that we've seen.
Yes.
Okay. And there is definitely a story that we're trying to tell between Batman and Joker. That's obvious in there. The ins and the outs and the actual nuances of that. You won't get to spoil that for you, do you? Right.
Nice. Well played.
No, like he's like, I'm gonna ruin it for you. Ruin it for you.
No.
Bruce Willis was dead the entire time. Do you want to know what? Like, isn't that just the weirdest thing to see?
I know, it's funny. I was like, that's a
You're like, guys.
Wait, it's okay.
Oh, it's just a cargo ship. It's actually the battleship from Battleship.
Oh, there you go.
It starts turning this way.